Hello all, welcome back to National IAS Academy. My name is Raj Shekhar and I welcome you all back to our new initiative which is known as Focus 300. So for those who are new, let me brief you about the new initiative. This is called as Focus 300 initiative, in which we shall be posting one video free of cost every day on YouTube consisting of 10 most important topics which are highly relevant for your upcoming UPSC Civil Services examination. This initiative shall run for 30 days and in total at the end of the 30th day we would have covered 300 most important topics which are highly relevant for the upcoming UPSC Civil Services examination. Alright, not just 300 main topics. At the end of this series, you shall also be knowing more than 3000 important facts which will definitely help you in elimination techniques at various stages in your preliminary examination. So with that being said, let us move on to our fourth class. So far we have conducted 3 classes successfully, in which we have covered 30 most important topics. In today's class, we shall be covering these many topics. Let's begin with the first topic, that is International Financial Services Center Authority. Why was it in news? Because recently the Prime Minister of India laid the foundation stone of the headquarters building of IFSCA, that is International Financial Services Centers Authority, which is located in GIFT City, that is in Gandhinagar, Gujarat. GIFT here means Gujarat International Financial Tech City. Gujarat International Financial Tech City. But before that, before understanding the roles and functions of IFSCA, we shall understand what do you mean by IFSC, that is International Financial Services Center. It's like a mini city, a city within city where there are no citizens but only financial institutions. That too, these financial institutions are here to help all those investors or fundraisers deal in cross-border transactions. Please keep in mind, it is like a mini city within a large city where only financial institutions or financial investors or brokers or in some cases even banks operate, right? It's just like an industrial area, but here in place of industries, there are only financial institutions. Their job is to help persons or companies raise funds or operate international transactions or cross-border transactions. So this center has to be managed by some entity. For that reason, IFSCA has been established through an act of the Parliament, that is 2019 Act. So International Financial Services Center Act was passed in the year 2019. With this, the mandate of IFSCA has been defined. So its role is to manage all those issues concerned with IFSC or International Financial Services Center, which is located in GIFT City, that is Gandhinagar, right? Next, we have something called as monetary tightening policy, which is usually operated by the Reserve Bank of India. In other countries, it is usually handled by the respective central banks of that particular country. So what do you mean by monetary tightening? Suppose whenever there is variation in liquidity in the economy, let's say whenever there is high liquidity, which means there is high cash flow, there is high movement of liquidity or transactions in the country, it becomes the sole responsibility of the Reserve Bank of India to maintain this liquidity, or when there is increase in liquidity, this has to be reduced, because if it is not addressed, it leads to rise in price levels, ultimately affecting the inflation, right? So that's the reason RBI usually has some instruments called as the monetary policy instruments, using which it manages the liquidity in the market. Here, the monetary policy instruments can be of two types. One is quantitative, the other one is qualitative. Quantitative and qualitative. In quantitative, you can have open market operations, bank rate, or interest rate. Alright, open market operations mean selling or buying of bonds by the Reserve Bank of India. Whenever there is high liquidity, what the Reserve Bank does is it sells the bonds it is having, that is government bonds, government securities or treasury bills in the market, and collects some money and keeps that money with it. So hence reducing the liquidity or the money flow available in the market. Whenever there is low liquidity, what the government of Reserve Bank of India does, it buybacks those bonds from the available banks and injects money into the economy. So this is the difference between tightening policy or loosening policy. I gave you examples for open market operations. Bank rate means increasing the interest rates. So based on this bank rate, interest rate that are being assigned to the loans are usually decided. Then after this we have something called as qualitative instruments. Qualitative instruments, these are actually aimed at improving or changing the psychological behavior of the consumers. It includes credit rationing, margin lending, or moral suasion. These are all qualitative instruments. This just know the basic difference between quantitative and qualitative, because in the year 2016 a direct question was asked by UPSC on quantitative instruments used by the Reserve Bank of India. Then we have something called as Aspirational Districts Program, which was launched in the year 2018 by the Government of India to help all those backward districts who are struggling to develop themselves at various stages. So far till 2018 they were called as backward districts, and with the introduction of this program, that is Aspirational Districts Program, those districts are now called as aspirational districts. And initially in 2018 there were 112 such districts, and today there are 115 such districts. All right, so these districts are backward in the sense that they lack educational facilities, they lack infrastructural development, they lack healthcare facility, there is low literacy. So these are some of the challenges often being faced by these districts. To help develop themselves in all these indicators, with all these parameters, the Government of India has introduced this program in the year 2018. So if you are asked a question in your UPSC prelims that which state has the highest number of aspirational districts in the entire country, then the right answer, my friends, would be Jharkhand. Jharkhand, with more than 19 districts or 19 districts, is the state with the highest number of aspirational districts in the entire country. Jharkhand is followed by Bihar with 13 districts, and then at the third place we have Chhattisgarh with 11 districts, and at fourth place we have Odisha with 9 districts, fifth is Uttar Pradesh with 8 districts, and sixth is West Bengal with 5 districts. Next we have eShram portal. It was introduced during the onset of COVID-19 pandemic to help all those unorganized workers have some security with respect to their job and their lives. So all those unorganized workers who are covered under this eShram portal include construction workers, migrant workers, gig and platform workers, street vendors, domestic workers, agriculture workers, other unorganized workers. So there can be a direct question asking who are covered under eShram portal. Then in that case, please try to remember all these people. Right, then what are the benefits associated with the registration under this portal? Mainly all those beneficiaries would get a card, eShram card, which is acceptable across the country at all hospitals. Then with this they'll have accidental insurance coverage. Then they'll also have 2 lakh for accidental death and permanent disability, and rupees 1 lakh for partial disability. Social security benefits are also available. Then they are helpful for state and central governments while providing assistance during calamities and pandemics. Next we have something called as PM TB Mukth Bharat Abhiyan. PM TB Mukth Bharat Abhiyan. So the objective is to end the menace of TB in India by the year 2025. By 2025, India should be TB Mukth or free of TB. So Bharat should be free of tuberculosis. It is being implemented by Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Please remember this. This project or this program, this initiative is being run by Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and the goal is to make India TB Mukth or free of TB by the year 2025. So if you are asked a question saying tuberculosis is caused by which of the following, then the answer would be Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Please note that tuberculosis is caused by bacteria and not a virus. Please make a note of this. Tuberculosis is caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis and not by a virus. So it can be cured and treated if identified at the right time and at the right stage. Because even now in India, more than 20 lakh people are dying because of tuberculosis. A recent WHO report reveals that more than 2.14 million TB cases were notified in India in 2021. So please note, which means nearly 21 lakh TB cases were registered, out of which 2 lakh people still are dying because of this tuberculosis. So early intervention and diagnosis would help save all these patients from losing their lives. Next, there is something called as One Health policy, which came to the forefront during the COVID-19 pandemic. It means treating the health of environment, human beings and animals as one, because all these three independent entities are actually interdependent. They are not independent per se, so they are interdependent. So if something happens at in one place, it obviously affects the other two systems. So having a right kind of balance or having the best health policy approaches in all these three segments, that is animal, human and environment, would lead to a healthy society. This has been said by World Health Organization time and again. Alright, so One Health initiative is a pioneer idea of the World Health Organization. So action plan was created through a participatory approach, and it included a list of initiatives with the goal of enhancing collaboration, communication, capacity building and coordination across all sectors in charge of addressing health issues at the interface between people, animal, plants and the environment. So the strategy is applicable, Indian strategy and the global strategy is applicable for a period of 4 years, that is from 2022 to 2026. And if you're asked, the strategy which has been adopted was given by which of the following institutions, then the answer would be there are 4 institutions. One is Food and Agricultural Organization, next one is United Nations Environment Program, next is WHO and World Organization for Animal Health. So there are 4 institutions. One is Food and Agricultural Organization, next one is UNEP, that is United Nations Environment Program, third one is World Health Organization and fourth one is World Organization for Animal Health. So this strategy has been framed and publicized by all these 4 institutions together, and it is for a period of 4 years, that is starting from 2022 to 2026. Right? Next we have some information related to PVTG, that is particularly vulnerable tribal groups. There are 75 such groups in India at present, and in the year 2016 and 2017, a direct question was asked by UPSC at the preliminary stage. So this concept actually indirectly came in the year 1973 based on the recommendations made by Devar Commission, and at that time they were called as primitive tribal tribes or primitive tribal groups, and consisted only 52 such groups. So across more than 700 plus scheduled tribes, only 52 tribal groups were identified as primitive tribal groups in the year 1973 based on the recommendations made by Devar Commission. And then in 2006 the nomenclature was changed, the name was changed from primitive tribal groups to particularly vulnerable tribal groups, and the list was expanded to include 75 key vulnerable tribal groups from across the country, including Andaman Nicobar and Lakshadweep. So if you're asked about the major tribal groups from the country, then there is Khasi, there is Bhil, there is Gaddi, there is Dodia, Angami, Chakmas, Oran, Chenchu, Santal and Jarwa. Alright, so you can look at the geographical position of these tribes from this map. I'll be sharing this PDF immediately after this class. Then there is something about municipal bonds. These are nothing but loan bonds or loan guarantees issued by local corporations. These are issued by local corporations. So this actually aims at helping or financially making the local bodies, that is maybe municipalities or gram panchayats or taluk panchayats, financially independent with respect to the kind of funds they are in need of, or maybe the kind of infrastructural or developmental projects they are actually wanting to take on board or implement. So these bonds are issued by local bodies. First thing, these bonds are issued by local bodies, right? So these bonds received a renewed push with the introduction of 74th Constitutional Amendment Act. Please comment down in the comment box, what is 74th Constitutional Amendment Act related to? So what is it related to? 74th Constitutional Amendment Act. With that, municipal bonds came to the forefront, and after the official introduction or acceptance of these bonds, many municipalities including Bangalore, Pune, Mumbai, or even Delhi have raised lakhs together, crores together in some cases, and have invested or used those funds in the infrastructural development of those cities. So recently, while highlighting the municipal bonds, the Prime Minister of India made a reference of Panchamrit. So it's actually a pledge with respect to the nationally determined contributions with respect to the Paris Agreement, with respect to the 2015 Paris Agreement, right? This Panchamrit pledge was made by Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the Glasgow Summit, which is in Scotland, held in the year 2021, right? So during this Glasgow Summit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi made a reference of Panchamrit pledge. It means there are 5 pledges. 5 pledges. I'll read out the pledges. First one is by 2030, decreasing or increasing the non-fossil based energy capacity to 500 gigawatts. That is, by 2030, India would be increasing the share of non-fossil fuel by to 500 gigawatts. Then by 2030, India would also be increasing its share of renewable energy to 50% of the total energy. Then after this, India would be reducing the overall carbon emissions by 1 billion tons. 1 billion tons. This too shall be achieved by the year 2030. Then again, carbon intensity of the economy would be reduced by 45% by 2030. Then the 5th pledge was by 2070, India would achieve net zero emissions. Net zero emissions. Alright, these are the 5 pledges which are part of India's Panchamrit pledge made by Prime Minister Narendra Modi during COP26, that is Conference of Parties 26, which was held in Glasgow in November 2021. And next we have an article related to COP27, which was held in the year 2022 at Sharm el Sheikh, which is located in Egypt. Alright, so COP27, COP2, which COP2? UNFCCC, that is United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, was held at Sharm el Sheikh, which is located in Egypt. So what is COP? COP is actually the principal organization where the major decisions regarding UNFCCC are usually taken. And please remember, the first UNFCCC COP meeting was held in the year 1995 at Berlin. And please remember, unless a party to UNFCCC volunteers to host the COP, usually COP meets in Bonn. So unless a party volunteers to host the session, the COP meets in Bonn, which is the Secretariat's home city. And what are the major outcomes of COP27? Loss and damage fund was created. Loss and damage fund was created. Aware, something called as AWARE was created. AWARE means Action on Water Adaptation or Resilience. Please note down. First one is Loss and Damage Fund was created. Second one is AWARE, that is Action on Water Adaptation or Resilience. Third one is Infrastructure Resilience Accelerator Fund was created. Third one is Infrastructure Resilience Accelerator Fund was created. Fourth one is Global Shield Plan was Global Shield Plan was adopted. And the last one is Global Offshore Wind Alliance was adopted. Global Offshore Wind Alliance was adopted. Global Offshore Wind Alliance Plan was adopted. So these were the major outcomes of COP27. Let us move on to the next topic, which is about Project Cheetah. The cheetahs which were imported from Namibia as part of exchange program between India and Namibia. Among those cheetahs, one cheetah has now recently given birth to 4 cheetah cubs. So after around 70 years, cheetahs have been again born in India. So in the year 1951, after the independence of India, cheetahs were declared extinct in the Indian subcontinent or in India. So since then there were no cheetahs sighted in the Indian subcontinent, and when you take the global scenario, even now cheetahs are listed as vulnerable species, and whereas Asiatic cheetah and northwestern African cheetah are critically endangered. There are different species of cheetah. Worldwide they are listed as vulnerable, whereas Asiatic and northwestern African cheetah are listed as critically endangered. As per the latest findings, cheetahs have lost around 90% of their global habitat. Alright. So worldwide, their number is just around 7,500 individuals. This is globally. And it is also said to be the oldest of the big cat species. Right? So that was all it for today. Thank you so much guys for joining. If you find this useful, please do not forget to share these videos with your friends and family members, and keep joining us every day at 6 p.m. live to watch such more informative videos. So thank you so much. Take care. Bye bye. Good night. See you in the next video.